Happens with Bahati Joyce, where we take life head on and make it happen, bringing you the best of Africa. Today, we're going to be talking about Black Panther film, which has been sensational across the world. I mean, these guys have done extremely well. Box office is looking pretty good, not too shabby. I think now we're on $900 million, so it's done really well. But over and above how well the movie has done, obviously it's had a great impact in the communities, and it's just caused this uproar. And so we want to dive into that today and kind of like discuss it. And here with me, I have a wonderful panel of people from the land of Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. Welcome, welcome. I have on my left, Agape, Isaiah, and Jonathan. And they're going to be joining me to share more about Black Panther, but how it relates to African identity. I think, guys, the whole world seems to be talking about us, right? Yeah. So I think it's a high time that we respond, and we also have something to say. So I would like to hear you guys. Maybe you can just introduce yourself to the viewers and tell us a bit who you are, what do you do, and I'm just curious to know your general opinion and view of Wakanda. So I'll start, ladies first, right?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. So we'll start here on my left, please.
Okay, my name is Agape Harry, and I am a co-founder and CIO of a digital marketing agency called Alvo. I also do photography on the side.
My name is Isaiah Yunge. I'm the founder and CEO of SumUp Technologies. We are a tech startup growing out of Africa. And yeah, we are the #1 Google from Africa at the moment, and we're growing strong.
My name is Jonathan Dali, and I'm the general manager for a company called Learning and Discovery Africa.
You guys are amazing, like CEO, I mean, a lot of C's and O's.
So my company deals with tourism as a core business.
Very nice.
But we also provide transportation. We do events, and we have embarked on leadership development training. Yeah.
I'm just curious to know your general opinion and view of Wakanda.
It actually did very, very good in the box office. It's almost breaking records in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and as an African, I feel proud.
For me, I've watched this movie 6 times.
6 times?
I'm still hungry.
6 times?
Yeah, I want to see it more.
Wow.
And I'll see it more.
Okay.
Because I cannot get tired of it. And being from a tech company, for me, it represents a neo-colonialism vision for Africa. What would Africa be without being colonized by the colonial masters back then? It shows that without a relation with European or Westerns, we could have been way ahead of the world in terms of technology and innovation.
Unlike Isaiah, who's watched the movie 6 times, and Agape 3 times, I've only watched it once.
We're on the same boat.
Okay, we're on the same.
We should probably keep this on the
now.
down low.
Yeah. So though I've watched it once, I've done an extensive research.
You liked it?
Yeah, I liked it.
Storyline, okay.
And the movie was good. Of course, there is so much stuff that was portrayed in there in terms of our culture as an African continent.
Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. We're going to go on a break right now. And when we come back, there's some videos that I asked some viewers to send in and just share about their opinion. Africa is big, so it would be nice to get a good representation of what it is that people thought about it and how it tied to African identity and to them, how it touched them. So have a look, and we'll be right back.
My name is Lwazi Diamond Chisaka, and I'm from Uganda, East Africa.
I am from Tanzania, and I'm originally from Nigeria.
Hey, my name is Expo. I live in Nairobi, Kenya.
If you were to ask me if the whole movie or the representation of Wakanda and its people fit into my perspective, my view of African identity, I would say I don't think it was supposed to. I think it was supposed to show a what if and what could be kind of situation, not a what is. So what would it be like, in 20, 30 years? What would our dressing be like? What would our culture be like? How would kids be going to school? I don't know if you noticed, there's a part where they're school kids and they have bags, and their bags have the dashiki pattern. I'm like, that is so cool. Like, that being the norm, that the norm is the African culture based on the clothing, based on the food, the language, and not that being something that's special, which is currently how it is today, where the norm is more Western culture. So your jeans, your t-shirt, which is fine. Would I count myself as a fanatic? No. Though I have seen the movie twice, I've enjoyed it as a great Marvel film. It gives us hope that we can create who we want to be.
So, the Black Panther movie, what do I think about it? I think that it was a great movie. Of course, there's a lot of hype about the movie, so everyone is going to think it was a great movie, but it's not even because of the hype. I feel like this is the one movie that actually depicted the diversity of the country of Africa, but also the richness of the country of Africa. All the different countries in the continent of Africa, they have different resources that the world actually wants to use. So I think it's a very rich continent, and the idea of vibranium in Wakanda helped people to understand that it's a rich continent. There are resources there. It's just sad that a lot of people in Africa do not know how to go about getting a hold of these resources and using it to benefit each nation in Africa. Rather, they want to give it to other countries. And I love how in the movie, the nation of Wakanda decided that no, they're going to keep it to themselves to better further the nation of Wakanda, rather than give it to the US or to another country to make them better while Wakanda is suffering. So I really love that aspect.
Is there such a thing as African identity? Is a great question to start with. I think this idea of African identity has been fought for in the past by many fathers and mothers in Africa who held Africa as an idea, as a thing to work towards. I'm not sure it's encapsulated as well as it needs to be today. I believe in African identity. I think Africa has a lot to offer. Whether you think of it as in parts or as a whole, I think it still has a lot to offer beyond just its mineral and its physical wealth. I think it has a lot of culture, a lot of heritage to offer to the world. So I think the movie, many people have billed it as representing Africa. It doesn't represent Africa as Africa. Africa is not that homogeneous thing, and so in that light, it does not represent Africa truly. But it does raise great questions about what it means to be African identity, and I think these things need to be answered in today's narrative, and young Africans and old Africans alike, those that consider themselves Africans or whether they're just parts of this whole, they need to answer these questions.
The movie Black Panther and its legacy on my life. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, the most memorable thing for me about Black Panther was the place Wakanda. We're so used to, karate moves, flying kicks, and all those things, but the one thing that caught my imagination was Wakanda. And Wakanda is a place where it's a wealthy African country, and it's wealthy because of its minerals, which is like a real contradiction to majority of the African countries that are real. Of course, there's a fantasy one. And Wakanda symbolizes an emerging leader, someone who is able to compete and participate in, global events. And I feel that this is where most of Africa's people are in or are coming into right now. That Africans are emerging. We are emerging as leaders, and it's symbolized by Wakanda. That in Wakanda there is a technology, there is the kind of mind that is possessed by global leaders. And wherever you are from, Nairobi, South Africa, all the way to the top of North Africa, going all the way, that there are a group of people who are emerging at such a time as this. And that for me is what is the theme, the major theme that I found in Wakanda. that Africa can compete globally, and an African can actually lead globally. So, peace out.
Welcome back to Life Happens with Bahati Joyce, where we take life head on and make it happen. We were just discussing about the storyline of the movie.
It was really funny that this movie, honestly, it blurred the line between reality and fiction.
Really?
I feel like it blurred the line because I recently seen a video of ABC, they were the news channel, they were interviewing people on the road, on the side, in the States, and some people actually believe that Wakanda is a real country in Africa.
Yeah.
They would be like, so an interviewer would be like, so what do you think that the UN should interfere with Wakanda's vibranium? And people would seriously comment that they should just let them do what they want with it. They should just
interesting.
They were like, they should just let them do what they want with it. If they want to share it, let them share it. If not, let them be. Somebody was asked, do you think like vibranium could be a threat to the world? And he was like, no. Like, I mean, if the Wakanda people have been using it for all these years, it is not a threat. And I was like, wow, it has really blurred the line between reality and fiction. And for me, that is a good thing.
What Marvel Studios, is create a fantasy world for a certain group of people. And for me personally, I feel like this movie maybe was not so much for Africans, but for African Americans.
I don't know if I agree with you. If you, and this is by my own observation.
Yeah.
If you take African American 10 and Africans 10, put them together, and then measure the level of their confidence and self-awareness.
Yes.
You will find that Africans' level of self-esteem is low, and confidence is low compared to the African Americans.
Right.
Okay, that's number one. So the movie was not necessarily made for African Americans. You see, the Africans colonized the people for years, even after colonialism. We continued under being colonized, mentally, being slaves in our mind. We've been ruled. Our people needed somebody to tell them, hey, look here. They needed liberation, somebody to tell them, you are this kind of people.
Right.
African Americans, they have an issue in America. They want to feel they belong. They want to be loved. So this movie play both parts for Africans and for African Americans. The story is how people used what nature gave them and innovated and multiplied on top of that. Because the story is how can you multiply on what you are given?
Yes.
It's a seed.
Yeah.
It's a mindset issue.
Do you
so
agree?
that's what is breaking that.
Yeah, so just to add to where I agree 100%.
Okay.
And to top it up, he's mentioned about this movie being a reminder, of course, to Africans and African Americans.
So
but
you think it's both for Africans and African Americans?
Even beyond.
Wow, okay.
I would say basically every black people who feels marginalized in the world. So this is an empowerment.
Right.
I've watched reviews from Jamaicans. I've watched reviews. Letitia is from Guyana. And so many other countries in the world. Everybody with a black skin color felt empowered in one way or the other. So I agree with him. This is a stepping stone, to where we are going.
Yeah.
So the African culture was somewhat portrayed. Of course, not everything was portrayed.
Yeah.
But as we know, the basic definition of culture. What a culture is, it's the total way of life of a particular group living in a particular area. So and in this context, the African culture, you had so many tribes living in this, Wakanda, fictionary. This is located in East Africa. So for a start.
Yeah, I had a bit of a problem with that. I had a bit of a problem.
I was trying to find out where in East Africa was this located.
I found out it's supposed to be east of Turkana. Well, there are different comics that draw it differently, but it's either north of Tanzania or a bit north of Turkana. But see, here's my problem with that, and maybe you can add on your thoughts on this. Wakanda is supposed to be an Eastern African country. Now, you guys are East Africans, you're Tanzanian.
Yeah.
Why were they speaking Xhosa?
Okay.
In the movie.
Before you go on.
Because we need to talk about that. Based on what you're saying, of course, when you're working with a continent as large and as vast as Africa, you have a lot to deal with. And so this is part of what I want to bring to the table for you guys. We had the Southern Africans represented, right? Like we said, we had the Lesotho, we had Xhosa being spoken, we had the Nigerians, Thumbako, which I think, by the way, he did an amazing job. He's from Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, I have to give it up to him. So we have Nigeria represented. And so you have this really strong voice coming from the South and from the West, but Wakanda is in East Africa. And so I think I would have loved to see more of the Eastern African culture represented, especially because we had one of our own, Lupita Nyong'o, again, fabulous, fabulous African queen, and we're very proud to have her represent us. So what do you guys think? I felt like East Africa was a little underrepresented.
I think I'm sorry if I'm allowed. The point was, I mean, and we have to be honest.
Yes.
At the same time, okay? Now, as a culture, as a society, East Africa have been more receptive of the Western culture.
Of the Western culture.
Compared to Nigerians
Nigeria
and
South
Africans.
Okay.
Most of the tribes, they've left their tribe, their culture, they've forgotten who they are, because that's why this movie is so important.
Yeah.
It comes to remind us.
To remind us who we are.
Who we are.
And I think as East Africans,
and be proud of who
important.
we are.
As East Africans, that's an important point, because what you're saying is Nigerians have this powerful, powerful cultural identity. South Africans have this powerful cultural identity. And then you find East Africa, it's there maybe through the Maasai, but it's been diluted.
Again, statistically,
Yes.
Swahili
Yes.
is the most widely spoken, African language, in Africa, second to, Arabic.
Yes.
So I would have preferred to see Swahili in there for the two main reasons. Number one, Wakanda is located in East Africa, where it's predominantly a Swahili speaker region. And the second one, Swahili is the second widely spoken language.
True.
So I think that was a misrepresentation. Yeah.
Shut up before I feed you to my children.
Welcome back to Life Happens with Bahati Joyce, bringing you the best in Africa. I'm going to hear from my panel about their favorite, absolute favorite character. So I'll share first. I think my favorite character it has to be Okoye. As Africans, we don't really have African women warriors per se, but Denai, like, you look at her and you have visions of your mother, like, that general African mother, like hardcore. So she reminds me of that, and I loved it. I loved her character. I believed her. I believed and I loved what she stood for. She was loyal. She was for her country, and I loved that. So yeah, that's my favorite character. And then when we're done, we're gonna do our favorite impressions, or you guys are gonna wow me with your Wakanda impressions. So for me, the challenge. I'm like, where did they get that from? The Maasai? I think so.
Gotta watch that again.
I found it hilarious.
Well, for me, my favorite character would be King T'Challa, and I love him. Naturally. I love him because he demonstrated some great leadership skills. And one of the best leadership, the kind of leadership he demonstrated was diplomatic leadership. He was very diplomatic in how he handled, different situations within Wakanda and even outside. So that was very good for me. I learned quite a lot.
You could identify with that.
Yeah, I could actually identify with that.
That's
so
good.
I like him.
Nice. King T'Challa. You gotta love him.
Well, for me, I'm having a hard time picking my favorites.
Yeah, you watched it 3 times.
3 times.
I don't know how Isaiah was like. You. Then again, he studied them.
But I would say all of them are my favorite characters for different reasons. But wow, I am having a hard time choosing this. But I would say M'Baku was one of my favorites as well. One of my favorite characters.
I found that so.
he didn't have much. He wasn't centered. The movie wasn't centered around him.
Yes.
But when he was there, you would recognize him. And I think he embodies how our cultures are. Sometimes we tend to be competitive with each other.
Yeah.
We tend to be jealous of each other.
Yes.
And I think I love how in the end even when he didn't want to come help King T'Challa, overthrow Killmonger, at the end of the day he still came and aided to
Which
their
is the African
exactly.
spirit. You guys have to impress me now.
Wow.
Okay.
Wakandans.
Okay.
What? Give me something. Wakanda impression.
Well. I'll go with this one. Of course, this is very, it's very common. I won't do this. Of course, I've done it, but I won't do it for now. Maybe this is out of the ordinary. Ask me, who are you?
Good one.
I wish it was reasoning, but it's
Good one.
it's nothing reasoning. But this is how you identify yourself.
Right.
Who are you? I wish if everybody asked you, where are you from or who are you,
Yes.
they'll know you're an African.
Yeah,
Just,
that's a good point. I love
Yeah.
that because a lot of people will ask you, where are you from? But this was more, who are you?
Yeah.
And they had.
Exactly.
That's powerful.
When you show that everybody knows you are
Wakanda,
Wakanda,
like you are.
you know.
That's
Yeah.
identity. I
Yeah.
love it. Good one.
Interesting.
Guess what I call them? Sneakers.
Shuri. You're an innovator.
Shuri's crazy.
So you were like,
'Cause-
mind blown. Like,
I laughed at that statement because it was so obvious.
Yeah.
And I think it
But
was
it
very
was
sarcastic.
hilarious.
It's like, I call them sneakers.
sneakers.
I'm pretty sure you were impressed with the nanotechnology.
Wow.
Mine would be, speak to me. Speak to me. Shut up before I feed you to my children.
Oh my God. That's
Just
hilarious.
kidding, we're vegetarians.
That's so hilarious.
That was funny.
He was hilarious. There's something he brought to the table that was
Hey.
very African.
And the
Yes.
accent, it's
Yeah.
so
Accents.
thick.
He got
I
it
know.
spot on. He must
This
have had
is
a lot of
the-
Nigerian friends.
You might have,
This is
you
the
actually
Black
think him
Panther.
Nigerian.
Right, and he embodied that Nigerian spirit. Very aggressive.
They're
and,
very aggressive.
I'm bored, get it over and done with.
Oh, I forgot something. You remember when they went to Busan, South Korea? She was like, I feel like taking this off. And then she took
Yes,
the
she
weave
took
off
off
and
the wig.
smashed up with it.
And you're
I love that
That was
part.
typical
I
Black
love
people
that
did
part.
blackish,
that,
that was
yeah.
typical black.
Oh, one part I also like when she was in the car and she was like, guns, so primitive.
I love that. It reminded me of Shaka Zulu.
Yes,
It reminded me of
Yes.
it brought the whole Shaka Zulu.
the whole
feel.
fighting spear.
You know when she said guns so primitive?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I remembered the Maji Maji War when they were told, hey, you just have to, whenever you get wet, the bullets will not come
Yeah.
any near you.
Yeah.
And when she said, guns so primitive, I was like,
Yeah.
Maji Maji War.
See, so much history in the movie.
Right.
So much history.
We've actually focused a lot more of the positive side
Yeah.
of Wakanda and the potential it has for the human race, of course. But also, there's also a very big detrimental effect
Right.
that this movie could bring.
No offense to the
You know,
fans.
no offense to the fans.
Yeah, we
no
love
offense to
Wakanda.
Agape 3 times, Isaiah
Isaiah
6
6
times
times.
and counting. But at least when you go and watch it with a certain perspective, you are learning something out of intentionally.
Yes.
That's good. But not everybody is the same. Someone
Yeah.
might just go to watch it and grab everything that they get from the movie. Some
Yeah.
of the things are very
Take it at
harmful.
face value.
Exactly.
And run with it.
And run with it.
To sum it up, for me, I enjoyed the movie. I loved it. I think parts of it for me were more for, I felt diaspora, African Americans, the Africans who are out there to connect. But then again, it did bring a sense of this African identity. And finally, Africa is in Hollywood. So with that, we do celebrate it. Thank you so much, guys. I don't even want to leave. It's been amazing. We've had such a great time here on Life Happens with Bahati Joyce, bringing you the best of Africa.